They told us darkness was safer. Keep your head down, keep your mouth closed. But truth was never made to whisper. Put the needle on the record. Bring the drums in.
Turn on the light. Let the whole room see what they did back then. What we do willingly. No more masks, no more alibis. Darkness starts running when the light arrives. Turn on the light.
We ain't scared no more.
We ain't scared no more.
Truth at the window. Justice at the door.
Oh,
You can dress up
a lie, but it still won't shine. When the light comes on, the light don't lie.
Needle hit the wax, let the testimony breathe. Everybody wants to harvest, few are planting any seeds. Pain became a business outrage, turn to rent. They keep selling us a villain, so we never self-inspect. Everybody shouting freedom with a chain around the mind, calling discipline oppression, calling failure by design. Yeah, the system got a boot. I can show you every print, but a boot ain't why you lie. Quit or poison your own kin. Truth don't need a stylist, lies need rehearsals. Character gets measured when the crowd ain't there to cheer you. You can point at every devil, name the decade, name the law, but if wrong ways your jersey, is it suddenly not wrong? I love mine enough to never paint the poison gold. A mirror ain't betrayal, it's the doorway to control. Some self-fear by the ounce, keep the people looking down. I sell light by the pound, let the truth shake the ground.
Turn on the light, let the whole room see what they did back then, what we do willingly. No more masks, no more alibis. Darkness starts running when the light arrives.
Oh,
Turn on the light.
we ain't scared no more.
We ain't scared no more.
Truth
at the window, justice at the door. You can dress up a lie, but it still won't shine. When the light comes on, the light don't lie.
Accountability hurts, but regret charges more. Excuses build a ceiling and complain about the flaw. Respect is not a slogan, not a hashtag or a thread. It's a standard lived in private when there's nobody to impress. Community ain't cover for the wicked in the room. Mercy without standards is permission wearing perfume. If the facts make us ugly, let the ugliness get shown. You can't heal a broken house, defending every stone. Every wound is real, but every wound ain't a throne. Pain can give you context, it can't govern right from wrong. We can honor every struggle, every scar, and every grave without using yesterday to justify the mess we make. We inherited the storm, but we still must steer the ship. Ancestors broke the iron, we can't romanticize the whip. Freedom is a muscle, every choice becomes the lift. If you want a different future, give your children different script.
Can the truth set you free?
Only if you let it.
Can the pain make you strong?
Who's gonna carry the light?
We are.
Then hold it high
and show them who we are.
Came up where the winners made the hard times colder. 313 heartbeat, heavy world on my shoulders. Took the weight, made a platform, took the scars, made the code. Every loss laid a brick, every lesson paved the road. I ain't preaching from perfection, I got dirt on my shoes, but I learned a man is measured by the truth that he chooses. Not the money, not the title, not the followers of fame. When the room goes dark and you still stand on your name, I don't need unanimous, I need honest in the room. Let the weaker ideas die so the better ones can bloom. If the message cuts deep, that's the edge of the knife. Sometimes truth feels like death when it's saving your life. To every
quiet battle with a fire inside, every husband, every mother keeping hope alive. Some sell rage for applause, some sell fear overnight. I don't sell you a dream, I came to sell you life. Turn on the light, let the whole world see what they did back then, what we choose to be. Oh, no more masks, no more alibis. Hey. Darkness starts running when the light arrives. Turn on the light.
We ain't scared no more.
We ain't scared no more.
Truth at the window.
Justice at the door. Woo. You can dress up a lie, but it still won't shine. When the light comes on, the light don't lie. 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 Hold it high. The light don't lie. Sell your life.
All right, though. What up, though, y'all? What up, though? What up, though? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? What's going on? Did y'all catch or did y'all miss the debate of the century or the cash cow? Which one would you call it? I missed the whole entire thing. I've been working all day, and I told y'all that I was going to miss the debate, but I would indeed be reacting to it. So, I wonder if my stance is going to hold because I've been seeing a lot of people give commentary and break down the whole entire debate, right? But I haven't seen too much of it for myself, other than the fact that CANDACE Owens, like I thought was going to happen, had 226,000 live views. Can I say that again for y'all? And as soon as I go live, here come the kids. Every time. Oh, nigga, you live? It's time for us to get wild. These kids, I tell you. So, anywho, Wasazi says, we found out nothing except Candace has no receipts, which we all knew. C. Cantrell says, watched it all, played out pretty much as expected. Yeah, and got up to 250,000 at one point. Let me paint it down for you because I took screenshots when I seen it, right? The first screenshot I took, and this is crazy, by the way. I just got to let y'all know. This is crazy. This is how I know this is crazy. CANDACE Owens had 226,000 live views. I'm looking at it right here. This is a screenshot I took. Andrew Wilson had 22,000 live views. Patrick Beck David, he has somewhere between 64 to 66,000 views. These were live views. 226,000 people tuned in to watch 226,000 plus about 66,000 plus about another 22,000. You're talking somewhere close to 500,000, if not a little bit more than 500,000 of people. Oh, man, come on, man. Oh, man, come on, dog. Come on. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. And my condolences, Almond. I'm sorry to hear that. Man, it's messed up. That man. My condolences to you, Sister Almond. Can we get sevens in the chat for Almond's grandfather, Almond's family, for Sister Almond? My condolences to you. I hope that he lived a full, wonderful life. And I'm sorry to hear that. And, you know, you got our condolences. You know, you got love for me and Russ, so, and love in the chat. So it's greatly appreciated. I hope he went peacefully. I hope he went comfortably. And I hope he went with a smile on his face. Would have been better if he was up in some bumps. But my condolences to you and your family. Damn. I need it. Now I feel like I gotta pour a shot. Hold on, y'all. Y'all gonna get the music for a minute. Hold on. Let me go get my jack, right? Let me go get my jack. Be right back.
They told us darkness was safer. Keep your head down, keep your mouth closed. But truth was never made a whisper. Put the needle on the record. Bring the drums in.
Turn on the light. Let the whole room see what they did back then.
All right.
We do willingly. No more mess. No more.
All right, so we're gonna pull one out. We're gonna pull one out for not just Almond's grandfather, not just Almond's family, not just Sister Almond, but we're gonna pull one out We're going to pull one out for everybody who has lost a loved one this year. Everybody know that's a touchy subject for me because my father passed in January of this year. So I appreciate you, Armin. We're going to pull one out. We're going to pull one out for the big dogs. I think when it comes down to the big dogs, they deserve a little bit more. We're going to get us a full one. As a matter of fact, we're going to go ahead. We're going to knock out just a little bit more. All right, cool. So we're going to pull this one out. This one's for everyone's loved ones and family who has suffered a loss this year. So shout out to y'all and salute to each and every last one of y'all. There we go. All right, so with that being said, and the condolences being passed down and libations have been shared and passed around, I wonder what happened in this debate. I didn't see it. Go. Every time. Anyway. Every time. How you doing, baby? Okay. All right, cool. So with that being said, let me go ahead and get into this debate. I wonder what happened with it. I wonder how it went. And let's just get into it. Excuse me, y'all.
Okay, so we're officially live.
Y'all let me know if y'all can hear that, okay? Y'all let me know if y'all can hear that. Put a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear that audio. Let's continue.
Candace, Andrew, good to sit down here with you, talking to you guys about the conversation that I think started with you being on Joe Rogan when you said, hey, I'm offering $300,000. And for the audience watching this, you have to know when you see this final product, there's a lot of stuff that happens behind closed doors. There was still communication till midnight, even some of the stuff this morning. Like it's like you're trying to sell a company. It's the last 24 hours that the deal doesn't work out, but kudos to the both of you guys that you made it work. The topic of discussion today, how this got prompted is, Andrew, you said there's overwhelming evidence that Tyler Robinson shot and killed Charlie Kirk. And Candace, your position was he's a patsy. Tyler Robinson is a patsy. So, of course, we'll talk about.
Shout out to my man's Jake in the chat, Project VO Pod. Make sure y'all go check him out. He says the debate is long, but it was a good one. I think you'd probably be on Andrew's side of the argument. Well, I'm going to see what the argument, because I haven't seen not 1 second of this, right? I haven't seen none of it. So I want to really see what's happening. But I appreciate y'all for letting me know that there's ones in the chat. Also, don't forget, y'all, we do have a goal, and there is a poll in the chat. So make sure you answer in the poll. Make sure you support the stream by getting us to our goal, and let's continue.
A lot of different things, but that's kind of how the whole thing got started. For the audience watching, I think this is truly for 3 different people. Number one is anybody out there that loves Charlie, respects Charlie, his legacy, what he did. We have a lot of love and admiration for what he did. He changed the lives of many people, young men, young women. You worked with him for many years. You guys were friends. You've said a lot of good things about Charlie, respectful towards him. You guys may have disagreed on some things, but you had a lot of respect for him. The second audience is the folks out there, you that's watching this. And so for you, you've been wanting something like this to take place. And kudos for Andrew for coming out and saying, hey, I want to have this conversation, and for Candace to accept it. So you have the ability to say, I agree, I disagree, comment, do all the stuff that you're doing online. And if you want to see more of these things, any of the 3 channels, subscribe to them, the Candace Show, the Crucible. I'm sure some of the people from Crucible are watching as well, and the PBD podcast. The more you subscribe to this, the more we're able to deliver these types of conversations to you. And last but not least, it's about the 2 of you. My goal is to speak as little as possible. 99% of the time, it'll be you guys speaking, and the audience will be able to see it. If I jump in, just so everybody knows on the back end, both have agreed. In the back, there's 3 people representing Andrew and 3 people representing Candace to do fact checking. So at any point, if somebody makes a claim, the other can say, can we fact check this? I can jump in and say, fact check this. Even the folks in the back can say, fact check this. So it is a very fair conversation that we're having here. And so with that being said, kudos to Michael Knowles. Your name was mentioned a lot. You missed out right now. The last 10 minutes, we talked about you. There's a lot of love and respect here mutually from both parties, all 3 of them here. And then, of course, the great Joe Rogan that started this conversation. And he also volunteered, but it ended up being this format that we have here today. So with that being said, Andrew, your claim is overwhelming evidence that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk. Opening statements, opening comments.
Sure. And what I mean by overwhelming is I just find it very convincing. I think that's what most people mean when they say overwhelming evidence. So I have a brief opening statement. On September 10th, 2025, Charlie Kirk was murdered. Many of you already know a lot about the events which occurred after Kirk's death. You remember the ghoulish laughter, celebrations, and madness we saw from leftists all over, from TikTok invasions, debates, posts on social media, destruction of memorials, and things like this. Within weeks of Kirk's death, a cottage industry began to form, peddling various alternative theories on how he died. What special interest may have killed him, what nations were involved, and was our own government one of them? Because this was the first nationwide traumatic event in Gen Z's lifetime, the demand for answers was severe and palpable. The leading theory from the conspiracy verse is that Israel worked with the United States government to murder Charlie Kirk. Within a day or two of Kirk's death, Ian Carroll claimed that Israel killed Charlie Kirk, and the conspiracy caught on like wildfire. This theory was built on one misleading piece of evidence, that in his final days, on or around September 8th, Charlie sent a text message reading, "Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause." This was sent in the context of a platforming dispute regarding Tucker Carlson. From this scintilla of misleading information, it was speculated that Israel killed Charlie Kirk because he would have successfully opposed the Iranian war. Now, that's a fun theory, and who doesn't like a good, fun conspiracy theory? I like them. But there is no evidence that Israel actually killed Charlie Kirk. And if Candace has some, I'd like her to actually show it to me. I'm open to suggestions, but to date, there hasn't been any. There is, however, tons of evidence that a leftist killed Charlie Kirk, just as Charlie feared they would. I believe Charlie Kirk, and I have the receipts. No, I didn't have a dream where he came to me and told me that the left killed him. No, he didn't come to me a dream and say, Candace Owens betrayed him. That never happened. In fact, I don't need dreams of any kind because I hold in my possession never before seen messages from Charlie Kirk to his security team on September 9th, 2025. I'm going to share the message with you today, which is the first time this information's ever been publicly revealed. On September 9th, Charlie's security team wrote...
Whoa! They text Andrew? Okay.
To him, yes, law enforcement has been fully supportive and agreed to a security plan and posture. Tomorrow's event will be covered by both my team and the campus PD. If additional support is required, patrol units will be available. I have 11 on site. Charlie responded with this. Okay, great. Remind them that they are there for one person's security only, because I'm somewhat worried the left is trying to kill me. That was a message sent September 9th. Whatever could he have meant by that? Well, I think he meant exactly what he said, that he was worried the left was going to try to kill him. Now, we'll discuss this more later on in the debate, and maybe I have more never-before-seen evidence that exposes just how wrong and, in my opinion, idiotic many of these conspiracy theories have been. But that's what happens when you rely on what's called the evidence of the gaps. In other words, they don't have evidence, they seem to just make up evidence. And what did they make up? Well, in my opinion, kind of whatever lined the pockets. And I think it's ghoulish to profit off of the death of a good man. But we came here today to debate, and so let's get to it. The debate topic today is 1, my belief that there's overwhelming evidence that Tyler Robinson killed Charlie Kirk, and 2, Candace's belief that there's overwhelming evidence that Tyler Robinson was a patsy and didn't kill Charlie Kirk. In sum, the audience is going to decide who has more evidence supporting their theory. My theory is that the state is correct that Tyler Robinson is the killer, at least based on evidence so far, and Candace's theory that Tyler Robinson is not the killer and he's a patsy set up by the feds. To be clear, this is not a question of reasonable doubt. If it was reasonable doubt, and that's all it was, and that's all Candace was proffering, I wouldn't even be here having the debate with her. It's fair to have doubts, as a trial has yet to occur, and the state hasn't even begun to try to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. But Candace makes a more forceful claim. She claims that there's more evidence that Tyler is not guilty of murder and was set up as a patsy than there is for the state's case. And I just think that that's absurd. And she will not be able to demonstrate that in any way. In fact, she has almost no real evidence at all of her theory, whereas my theory is supported by compelling witness testimony, physical evidence, multiple confessions, all of which are independently compelling, but which are even more convincing as each piece of evidence corroborates the others. You'll notice the term overwhelming was included in both theories. This is because Candace demanded I defend my use of that term, which I think is fair, in describing the evidence against Tyler Robinson. She, on the other hand, only wanted to defend her theory as merely viable. That is, until I showed her clips in which she said she believed the evidence of her theory, that Tyler Robinson's a patsy, was supported by overwhelming evidence. Only then did she agree to defend that position. Regardless, we're both defending the claim that there's overwhelming evidence on our side, so it's worth defining that term. When I say the evidence against Robinson's overwhelming, all I'm saying is that I mean that as of right now, I find it very convincing. I see almost no evidence at all, only speculation on verified claims and suggestions of things that could merely be hypothetically possible. Dreams, vibes, feelings, things like this. Almost done, by the way. I have no problem defending the state's case and welcome Candace bringing up any challenges she would like. But if I'm honest, the reason I was willing to pay the $300,000 for this debate was to finally have a chance for someone to demand Candace be held accountable for the unbelievable theories and claims she's been making. Candace's investigation is indistinguishable from a leftist operation. She couldn't be doing more damage to the right if she were trying. She uses her considerable platform to relentlessly attack one of the most influential conservative outreach organizations for young people, and she's making a mockery of the online right-wing commentary class. She's harming Republicans in an election year by dividing them. She's attacking the very organization Charlie spent his life building, and she's attacking the people he loved, including his wife. And it cost me $300,000, but today I hope that she finally answers for some of that.
Thank you, Andrew.
Damn. Jeesh. All right, a lot to take in, and I will be giving a little bit of commentary after what's going on. What's going on, official? What's happening? So what's up, big dog? Good to see you back in action. I ain't went nowhere. I just took a look. I was busy, big dog. So I can't believe he paid Candace $300,000. I mean, look. Y'all want me to be honest, or y'all want me to be honest? If somebody paid you $300,000 to sit down and have a 4-hour conversation with them, give my money. I sit down and have a conversation with you. But I understand I'm only reacting to the debate, not to the. All right. So, yeah, opening statement was pretty fire. It was. There's a few holes in it, though. There's a few holes in it in the fact that he's targeting her position rather than bolstering or strengthening his position. See, when it comes down to debating, and I've said this multiple times, a lot of y'all have heard me say this before. This is why a lot of people don't want to debate me, because I'm not here to debate you. I'm here to debate my point. And I'm here to convince not only the judges, but also the audiences why my point should be believed. I'm not here to, like, if I was debating Jake, right, I wouldn't be here to debate Jake. I'm here to debate, just not Jake's perspective. I'm here to convince the audience why they should believe me more than Jake's point. So in his opening statement, he's made some very good points. It was a couple of slips. That's just me personally. As someone who has been on the collegiate level style debate team. So I need to get you on my show to debate FYI, man. Yeah, listen, whenever you're ready. Well, I ain't gonna say whenever you're ready, because I'm a very busy schedule now. And we got to connect and get on a timeline. Typically, I'm open for the weekends. I do my weekend at Willie's show. Well, I'm about to start getting back to my weekend at Willie's, especially because now we remonetize again, which, by the way, make sure y'all support the show. appreciate that. All right, let's continue. She Can't Trust says, especially when she's been obsessed with this case from jump, and he clearly didn't have a thorough grasp of the details. He basically just said, I believes the fabs the whole time. Well, don't spoil it for me. Let me. Well, I don't mind y'all spoiling it a little bit, but let me catch it, right? But anyway, back to his opening statement. It was a strong opening statement, minus the plebeious joust at her, which that's fine. The man paid $300,000. So I'm not going to say that it needs tuning. He had more than enough time to put this together. So if I had to grade his opening statement, I would give it a 6 out of 10. No, you good. I give it a 6 out of 10. 4 points for the meaningless dribble. But other than that, his opening statement was slightly strong, right? Now let's listen to Candace's opening statement.
Candace?
Did you get it out of your system?
I did.
Okay, great. Well, I'm not going to waste time with the preamble because I think I just want to get to the substance of the debate, and we'll just speak to the audience. I've obviously had an audience since we've been covering this case. People know that there was a personal friendship between me and Charlie, and diminishing the pursuit of something that makes sense regarding what happened on September 10th by throwing it to, this is just people who are conspiracy theorists. These are people who are just trying to generate clicks. I don't think that people should.
Hey, appreciate you, Toshin. Thank you very much for the cash app. Greatly appreciate you, big homie. Best I Can Be says, I mean, doesn't Andrew always win? Technically, no. Andrew does not always win. Not in my book. There's been times Andrew have lost a debate. But if y'all missed my show from last night, which I'm only going to say it by this, the debate space right now, the culture of debating right now is not based on what people say. It's more so who has the more popularity, right? You see what I'm saying? And the big problem is that a lot of people are saying that, because I was trying to avoid, you know how like when you're waiting for a video game to come out, you got to avoid all of the people who's already talking about the video game. You got to avoid that shit. I've seen a lot of people say, oh, well, Candace beat the shit out of Andrew. I said, damn, Candace beat the shit out of Andrew? It was that bad? Oh, yeah, she dog walked him. She threw him down through the mud. I'm like, damn, it was that bad? Okay, all right. We gonna see when I watch it. But I've heard a lot of people say that about other debates. Oh, yeah, this person beat the shit out of this person. Then when I go watch the debate, I'm just like, they didn't really dog walk them. All they did was attack the person and not attack their argument. You see what I'm saying? You said both Candace and Andrew was great. Love to see traditional debating with intelligence facts. Let's continue.
Be satisfied by that. I want people to remember that it's important to think. We've been lied to by the government a great many times over, just the last couple of years, if you just think of the things that we've learned about our government. And I do want to say this. What's been the most disturbing element, I think, for everyone is that not only does the narrative not make any sense, which I'm going to demonstrate, I don't need to waste time with the preamble going through the points or trying to insult you or pretending that I've been running a podcast saying it's just dreams and vibes like I'm Miss Cleo. And that's the reason why it's taking so many influencers. It looks like $1 billion industry of influencers to dispute everything Candace says. It's not because I'm on my platform saying I had a dream last night. I don't think I think that diminishes you as an argument. Obviously, we have presented a lot of evidence. You just presented a text message and said, this is evidence. Well, that's how this entire thing began. You're talking about how Israel got into the conversation. It was because immediately after Charlie died, one of the first things we saw was this push to make us all think and remember how much he loved Israel. It's because the prime minister of Israel, who's fighting like a 27 front war, felt that he needed to come do a little mini tour and to be strangely to state that I did not kill Charlie Kirk when nobody was having that thought that I can remember. Nobody was going, I wonder if Bibi Netanyahu killed Charlie Kirk. And then we had a round of influencers who lied and said Charlie was not changing on Israel, that he wasn't having any disagreements regarding that topic, that the day he died, he just loved Israel so much. And I demonstrated via a text message, which you just mentioned, and you're now contextualizing and pretending it was just about Tucker Carlson, which is not true. It was a part of a broader shift that Charlie was having over the last, I would say, actually, on your show, it began since October 7th, which is when I began asking myself more questions about Israel as well. And so, yeah, when all of these things happen in the immediate aftermath, and then I drop a text message after everyone is denying that, Tucker Carlson then comes out and confirms the conversations that he had with Charlie. Megyn Kelly then comes out and confirms the private conversations that she had with Charlie. People then begin to ask a reasonable question, which is, why are we lying about this?
I appreciate you. Best I can be with the $5 super chat. Greatly appreciate you, big homie, for supporting the show, being the first on the super chat side and the cash app side. Greatly appreciate you, big homie.
If they were forthcoming with that and they had said, hey, yeah, Charlie was starting to ask questions. I think after October 7th, it's reasonable that people are starting to re-examine our relationship with Israel. We wouldn't be here today. But it has been lie after lie after lie, debunk after debunk after debunk. Yes, I did share that I had a dream that Charlie was betrayed. It's not a dream anymore. It's a reality. I look at what the organization has become, the people that they are partnering with, the lies that they are telling, the extraordinary people that they're sending out to say that I hadn't speak to Charlie since 2018, and it begins to look like a conspiracy. And just as a historical fact, that entire term was created by the CIA to gaslight people after the assassination of JFK. So it's not exactly one that makes me nervous. Like calling somebody a conspiracy theorist is essentially saying that they demand further answers and they're not accepting the Fed slop. So I'm grateful that you came today. I don't need to, like I said, take cheap shots and discuss your manner of debate or your strategy. And I'm also grateful that you shared that you had that text message today, because everybody watching knows that I have been demanding not a debate, just an open conversation with Turning Point USA. They should be here. It shouldn't be you in that chair. It should be the person that took Charlie's place, maybe Erica Kirk, maybe Andrew Colbert. He's a spokesperson. And rather than doing that, they send us another influencer. So let's see how it goes.
All right. So opening statement by CANDACE Owens. And I'm basing this solely on what she said in this chair. I'm not basing this on any preamble or any bias that I have towards her. I'm only going by what she just said. And let me give a prime example of why you don't let someone like Andrew Wilson go first. And I don't know if y'all caught it, but if you pay attention enough to what happens in these YouTube debates, when you let the wrong person, and I'm not saying wrong as in Andrew Wilson's wrong, but someone like Andrew Wilson, when you let someone like Andrew Wilson go first, you lost. And I'm going to tell you, well, not you lost, but when you let them go first and you respond the way that Candace just respond, you're losing so far. And I'm going to tell you why. Candace, even if she had a prepared argument, she responded to everything he said sleuthfully, not truthfully or what he believes or even has value of evidence from. She only responded to the dreams part. She responded to the conspiracy theory part. She responded to the things that you can tell put a little nick in her shoulder, right? And as I was listening to everything she was just saying, she didn't make an argument. But what she did do is she did make a point. Her point is that she wants to have a conversation. Her point is that the people that she wants to talk to in the open, she wants to actually speak in the open. And when it comes down to it, yes, people should be asking questions when it comes to whatever it is that the United States government says. As a former government employee myself, being in the military, the first thing you always do is question the top brass. You don't question the orders, you question the top brass, because why the hell are we going over here? For what? But we got to do it. That's the part of being a soldier. So I'm not knocking that part. But she's responding to everything that he was saying in a sleuthful way. And then on top of that, Candace is being dismissive of what he said, especially because of the fact of, motherfucker, I got your money. You already paid me $300,000. Do I really have to respond to you in a way that I have to prove my point? You paid $300,000 to come talk shit to me, right? So I don't have to respond to you. I already got your money. But even more so, she's belittling. This is why I'm taking points off of her opening statement. She's responding to the belittling that Andrew did, and this is why I took points off of Andrew. She's responding to the belittling that Andrew did, which she's responding with her own belittling of Andrew, and also she's minimizing him in his position and within this debate because she wants to be dismissive of him as a person, right? Also, Andrew leaned in on her having a dream, and him being a white guy may not have been the best choice of words for a black woman that had a dream. I was going to get into that, but I appreciate you saying it. Thank you very much. All right. So there's that part. Now this is why I took some points off, but we're going to continue to go. All right. Let's also get this one. Well, being that Andrew put up 150K with Brian Atlas from the whatever podcast made 300K, I'm sure Andrew thinks he got a little privilege. Absolutely. Right. He paid for this. So if I had to pay just to have a sit down with you, I'm probably going to talk a little bit of shit. No problem. But is that part of a debate? If I have to pay any one of y'all, or y'all have to pay me, and I want y'all to pay attention to this concept too. If you have to pay me just to speak to me, how do you think I'm going to treat you? I've got your money. I might treat you good. I might treat you bad. I might belittle you, all depending on how your energy is. Let's continue.
Just out of curiosity, are you between 0 to 100? What is the likelihood that you think Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk and killed him?
Based on the evidence right now, I don't know. I'd say 75, 85%.
Candace?
0%.
0%.
I'm at 0.
So
with what we've seen in terms of the evidence, I'm at 0%.
So not only, that maybe somebody was behind him as a patsy influencing him. You're not even saying that he didn't even shoot Charlie Kirk.
Right. I would, if you said, was he involved that day, as
Right.
I have consistently said on my platform, I would say yes, he was. I don't know what role he played, but as the shooter, 0%.
Do you have any evidence for it?
For what? My percentage?
The fact that he didn't shoot and kill Charlie Kirk.
Yes, which I'm hoping we're going to get to all of the evidence that he feels that he has. I mean, I'm not even convinced that Charlie was shot from the rooftop on Losi that day, based on the evidence that has been.
Do you think he was shot?
I do not think that Charlie was shot from a 30-06 from
Yeah, but
Losi.
just shot at all.
I don't know. I think that a projectile hit Charlie, and I'm open to other people's presentations, but I have not seen any compelling evidence that Charlie was shot by a 30-06.
Can we see?
What? What the fuck just happened? A question was asked. What's your percentage? This now Patrick Beck-David is the moderator here, and it's very funny that I paused his face right there. Patrick Beck-David is the moderator here. He asked the question: what's your percentage? Do you believe that Tyler Robinson shot him? Andrew says 75%. Okay. She says 0%. Okay, cool. What evidence, or how can you now? I hope everybody that's watching this, I really hope that they learn this particular angle. And for all of you people who host debates or participate in debates, I need y'all to pay attention to something. Candace did not do the one thing that you need to do in debating. She did not substantiate her argument. None whatsoever. In a debate, if you're going to make a statement, you have to be able to back it up. Her belief that there's 0% chance that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk is crazy work. Not only is it crazy work, but that's what she want to believe. Cool. Now, make me believe what you believe. This is how you must substantiate your argument. And she didn't stand on anything. She's open to this, she's open to that, she's open to this, she's open to that, but she's not standing on anything. All right?
Maybe if we're going to have an olive branch to each other, if maybe we can establish what we consider the facts of the case to be first.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So you're not sure if he was actually shot. you're open to alternative theories. To that.
He was definitely hit with a projectile of some description. If we're talking about was he shot from a gun, a 30-06, I would say definitively no.
Okay.
It defies common sense to think that he had a Superman neck, and even if he did have a Superman neck, which has been demonstrated, I think actually recently a YouTuber actually set up Valhalla steel cages and shot it, and it went through. So under no circumstance will I.
So at least not a 30-06.
Definitively not a
okay,
30-06 from low sea, 150 feet. No,
but you're not necessarily closing off the avenue that he could have been shot at all
with maybe a smaller
caliber. Okay, and then there's some things that I'm going to make concessions on that I do think we need more answers on, and I'm fine with that, and we can get to those things as well. The other thing is in the timeline. One of the things that we dispute, I think, on the timeline is that you think that Robinson drove hours away to a steakhouse in the timeline. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And what's the compelling evidence that you think you have there?
I spoke to the owner of the restaurant, and I have seen the receipt. I know the conversation that I had, and I think it's enough that, you know, it will be presented, obviously, if this goes to trial. But yes, I do believe that he was in Panguitch, which is near his grandparents' home.
Did he give you an unedited copy of that receipt?
I have seen an unedited copy of that receipt. It was not given to me from the owner. But I want to, before we get into like all the timeline stuff, I want to address what you think is evidence so we can keep this on par with what your claim is. Since,
well, I think that that's a piece of evidence that's in dispute. And that's why I'm.
Yeah, but we're trying to get to whether there's overwhelming evidence that Tyler Robinson did this.
Yeah,
so whether then starting
if you want to use the first part of that for the internal critique.
Yeah, we should go over the actual evidence that we feel.
The first reason that I think it's compelling evidence is that Tyler Robinson's rifle was found near the crime scene. So I would consider that to be very good evidence. And also the fact of the matter is that I dispute this claim that a 30-06 could not have made this wound. I think that that's absurd. 150 grain Remington core lock absolutely could shatter when it hits the neck of any human being. When you say that there's some steel neck and it's a smaller caliber, you have to make a counter explanation. Why wouldn't a smaller caliber also go through bone?
It could. I didn't say it can't.
Right, exactly. So if that's the case, then ammunition is going to be the critical key here. And if we have frangible ammunition, which we do in this case, a flex tip round, well, I'm sorry, not a flex tip, a soft point round from 150 grain Remington core lock, that's just a small jacket that goes around the actual lead piece. This thing could have split apart in air for all we know. But definitely upon impact, and we have the medical examiner who confirms this in a summary, and my team can bring that up, the summarization, which means he would have to be a part of some kind of conspiracy as well.
Okay, so just to start with your point about saying that the gun was found near him, near Losey Center, or I guess off in the woods. That gun, did you watch the testimony? Did you watch the preliminary hearing?
Yeah, we covered it live. Yeah.
Okay, so forgetting what the summary of the medical report was, did you watch the testimony that was given by the Caitlin Oliver, the ATF woman, Samantha Carner, any of those people who went into the science of?
Yes, I recall. You're talking about
the bullet analysis.
Yeah, when they went into the DNA.
Okay, so that's kind of the most relevant part.
Okay.
I'm not denying, I've never denied on my platform or anywhere else that a gun owned by Tyler Robinson was found near the crime scene, right? That doesn't remove, if you think somebody set up as a patsy, you could take a gun out of this room right now and you could walk out and plant it in the woods near a crime scene. That's not convincing evidence to me.
I concur with the fact that that's a possibility.
So I think have said on a platform that you were a gunsmith. Okay. And for how many years?
Many, many years.
For many years. You also said that you were an Army sniper.
I wasn't a sniper in the Army.
Okay.
And I never said that.
Sorry, your wife tweeted that you were an Army sniper.
Yeah, I don't know. Like 15 years ago, she said something.
Does it change 15 years later?
Why is she bringing up his wife? God damn it. Am I going to make it through this? I want y'all to be honest. Am I going to make it through this?
Said that it was colloquial. So
Army sniper is a colloquial term?
Yeah, I was never an Army sniper.
Okay. What did you do in the Army? Did you teach this? Then I corrected it and said you taught rifles in the Army?
No, I didn't teach rifle. No, I taught rifles as a private citizen.
Okay.
And I was an NRA instructor for many, many, many years alongside my my gunshot.
As with your expertise, when she gave testimony on the stand, Samantha Carner, that there was dust and there was debris that was found in the gun barrel.
Yep.
And then when we had the person who, and this was, I believe, Caitlin Oliver, who explained painfully about the DNA, the prints.
Well, let's start with a point at a time.
I'm not done. You said something, so I'm going to finish my thought, right?
You don't want to do a point at a time?
No, well, sure. If you want to respond to,
Well,
but I want you to respond to 2 points.
debris.
I want you to start with 2 points.
Okay.
Dust and debris in the gun barrel.
Yeah.
Secondly, the fact that there were 5 sets of prints, 5+ actually by the end of the testimony, 5 sets of prints for which we already had the woman who worked for the FBI forensics testify that above 2 prints, if you're taking a sample, it's no longer a science, right? She testified that when they took the sample of what was on the trigger, they saw 5+ prints. And among those 5+ prints, Tyler Robinson's was the most degraded. So I would like you to explain how Tyler Robinson's prints could be the most degraded when she said, actually, you could have DNA on something that you've touched. You could have DNA on something that you've never touched. And to get DNA degradation, they've looked at pieces, items 20, 40 years on that don't have degradation. Yet Tyler Robinson's prints, amongst 5+ other prints, were the most degraded on that weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're asking him to explain a perspective that someone else gave in an expert position. Okay.
So let's get into all 3 of the claims. First, with debris. When it comes to debris, firing rifle doesn't always blow the debris out of the barrel.
Okay.
So
You think there could be debris and dust.
Yeah.
He just fired the weapon.
Sure.
Okay.
Not only that, he left it in a forest. Now, I don't know if you agree with me, but if you leave a rifle in a wooded area, it's also possible that debris could get in that way. But I'm not even sure that that's what the case is. I think it's far more likely that you fired the shot, it just didn't blow all the debris out, and it often doesn't. You'll find this if you take Grandpappy's dirty rifle and it's all dusty inside the bore and you go fire it, you'll often look down the bore and there's still dust.
Okay.
Happens all the time.
Okay. And the prints?
Yeah. So the prints, we don't know all of the details on just yet.
We do. It was excruciatingly long testimony on the prints.
We don't, because they haven't gone to trial, so we don't know on the print front. But
Killer Red Duck, what's going on, my G? Appreciate you.
Tyler Robinson's DNA was on there. You made the claim that Lance Twiggs' DNA was on there, and it was not.
Well, when she gave the testimony, hold on. First, let's go to your first point, because that's wrong. We can get a fact check on that. What do you mean we don't know until it goes to trial about the degraded prints? She testified, and this is the person who took the prints.
Yes, but the problem is that inside of this particular testimony, you agree with me that there's going to be much more of the DNA analysis during the trial, right?
But you also would agree that her fact is not going to change, that among the prints, his was the most degraded. So I'm asking you to address that. How could that be possible?
Let's give it, let's just grant this for a second as a possibility that his fingerprints were degraded.
It's not a possibility. It's a fact. The person who took it.
I'm just granting it for the sake of argument.
You should grant it because it's a fact that she presented.
So now it's granted.
Candace, you're setting a dangerous precedent. If you're going to grant and accept a fact just because it supports your argument, and I'm asking y'all in the chat, if I grant a fact and that it should be accepted because it was presented as a fact, does that also mean that every other fact that is presented as a fact should be accepted just because it's a presentation of a fact? If I say it is a fact that Killer Red Duck eats alligators on Saturday, but also on Sunday, he eats raw hamburgers, and that's a fact because I witnessed him eating raw hamburgers on Sunday. But then C. Cantrell turns around and says, no, I've never seen him eat raw hamburgers on Sunday. I've seen him eat raw bell peppers on Sunday. Well, now you have to accept both the facts. You have to accept, if you're going to grant it, that not only does he eat raw hamburgers on Sunday, he also eats raw bell peppers on Sunday too. And there's no way around that. Now, every other thing that is presented as a fact must be accepted. You're setting a dangerous precedent here.
So what?
What do you mean, so what?
Yeah, so what? What does that prove?
It proves that if his prints were the most degraded amongst 5 of them, you're going to have to explain how that's possible if he's the one that recently fired the weapon.
Yeah, so wait a second. You're saying that it's an impossibility that if his fingerprints are the most degraded.
I'm telling you to explain it. You're the gunsmith.
Well,
so
wait a
explain
second.
it.
How would a gunsmith give an analysis on fingerprints or DNA?
Can't. A gunsmith can't give analysis on fingerprints and DNA because that's not what gunsmiths do.
You think that I work in a DNA laboratory
So
with
your
fingerprints?
answer is, I don't know. You can just say you don't know.
But
you
I
don't
did.
have to.
But I did.
No, you said, so what? So
Yeah,
say,
so-
I don't know. I
but what
actually
would
don't
that-
have an
what
explanation
would that
for that,
prove,
Candace.
though?
That is right. She's right. You can either say you don't know instead of rambling.
Oh, it's my question.
Well, I think that what it would prove is that it is a more viable theory that people who had stronger prints on the gun may have used it more recently.
Did they say who else had fingerprints on the gun?
They named Matt Robinson explicitly.
Okay.
And this was a part of the testimony where she was speaking about how they got samples of elimination samples from the home of Amber Robinson, Matt Robinson, and Lance Twiggs. Those were the 3 names they named.
So are you saying that Twiggs?
Would you like me to
fingerprints-
finish my statement?
I just want to make sure I'm clarifying.
I'm trying to finish the answer, but it can't be clarified until the answer comes out of my mouth.
Okay,
So
go ahead.
Well, Sazi, that's a great point. If Tyler wiped the gun, the prints would be degraded. That's a fact.
This was a portion of her testimony where she was explaining how they got elimination samples from the home. And she named Matt Robinson, Amber Robinson, and Lance Twiggs as the elimination samples that she was using. And so she explicitly said, some of them, so we can assume 2 out of the 3, were their prints were found on the.
Hey, shout out to my brother Omni with the $2. He says Charlie Kirk's parsnips must have had Leroy's glow. That's a fact and a half. Appreciate you, big dog, for supporting the show. Let's continue.
Gun. She explicitly named Matt Robinson as someone who had prints on the gun, and then said there were 5 people that they had taken that sample from. And again, what's also relevant here is the earlier testimony, which came from the FBI forensics analyst, I believe it was on day 2, where she said that when you're using those mixtures and those samples and you get up to 5+, it's really hard to make any sort of a determination. So both of those things are relevant. If you can't explain why his prints are the most degraded and you're saying he is the shooter, it's not really a so what. It's an open-ended question that people have a right to pursue. It's not a conspiracy. It's actually proof of my claim that there is evidence that he was set up as a patsy.
That wouldn't prove anything about him being a patsy.
It said it's evidence to support the claim that he could have been set up as a patsy.
So this is why I said earlier, so what? Because even if it's the case, this doesn't have an explanation for it yet. That doesn't actually give you any evidence in your corner for Tyler Robinson being a patsy.
Okay,
hang on. I didn't cut you off, right? You would need to actually explain how this would demonstrate Tyler Robinson. This is tied into Robinson being a patsy. Are you claiming that these fingerprints were Lance Twiggs or that he had any DNA there?
I'm saying that it could be Matt Robinson. It could be Amber Robinson. That sort of information is going to come out during the trial.
How would that tie into the idea that he's a patsy?
Yes,
though?
because if his is the most degraded prints and the information that I shared on my platform is true, that this gun was given to Tyler Robinson as an heirloom. I had conversation with members of the Robinson family, Twiggs family, both of them. You know, like I said, we're not just dreaming. And if we're having those conversations and they told me that that gun was only given to Tyler Robinson because it was a family heirloom. Okay, so it was his grandfather's gun or great-grandfather's gun.
Okay.
I don't remember the difference. I don't remember which one it was. And so he got it because he's the firstborn. So, but he's not much of a shooter, is what I was told. And so he has this because he inherited it, essentially. So if I get something from my grandpa and I put it up on the shelf and I own this, you could see that could be.
How do we get to the patsy part?
You don't let me ever get to the end of the sentence. So how could we get to the patsy part
Okay,
if I can't get to the end of the
I'll wait
sentence?
patiently till we get to
So
the
that
patsy
could be a
part.
reasonable explanation as to why there was dust in the barrel, because he doesn't often shoot this weapon and he is indeed a fisher. And it could also be a reasonable explanation for why we have Matt Robinson's prints on this. Obviously, Lance Twiggs, even if he has prints on things, they live together. That doesn't really mean anything. But that could demonstrate that somebody took his weapon and put it somewhere. his prints are the most degraded. Somebody else's prints, there's more presence of somebody else's prints, and that could demonstrate that somebody is taking items from his house and putting it into
but it
various
also
places.
could demonstrate nothing. So the problem that you have here is that this is pure conjecture.
No,
This is not evidence that Tyler Robinson is a patsy. It's only evidence that you have conjectured up that, well, if it's the case that these are the more degraded prints, then therefore that means must be patsy because dad's fingerprints on gun.
I didn't say must be
Describe
patsy.
how this actually links in to Robinson being a patsy.
Okay, I just described that for you, so I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you, so I'm going to move on from that. But to just go back to your point about this is not evidence, you can't make that claim because the entire basis for why you think that there's evidence for Tyler Robinson being the person that took the shot is based off of a hearing under Utah 1102 rules, meaning that they are doing the exact same thing that I am doing. This is the state. You said you're here to represent the state. Well, did you watch the preliminary
I
hearing?
didn't say I was here to represent the state.
The state's position you think is strong and convincing.
What I'm here to do is represent my own opinion.
You said in your opening statement,
based on the evidence presented so far by the
the state has
I find it
presented
convincing.
evidence under Utah's 1102 rule.
But this doesn't demonstrate any patsy
No, that's very
behavior.
important because that rule is hearsay. So you can't say at the same time,
Great.
Candace, you're not allowed to. And what that means under the Utah rule, which I'm sure you know, because I'm sure you watched the preliminary hearing and yourself understand what that means, is that the entire hearing was hearsay. It means none of that information that was presented is going to be allowed. The majority of it, the overwhelming majority of it is not going to be allowed at the trial. They're allowed to present when it's just a probative hearing.
I don't think all the evidence that was put in was hearsay.
Okay, you didn't watch this case.
But not only that, no.
This is a huge point. This is crazy
we
that you
can
don't
call
know
for
this.
a fact check if
Yes,
all the evidence
we need
was
more than a
put
fact
in.
check. This was every single
The
day.
team in the back is
Utah
actually
rule
saying
1102.
They want to go there. So they said there's a medical examiner's explanation of the shooting that's in the back. Rob, if you want to pull it up, and then Candace, if anybody from your team wants to pull something up, no problem as well, but they're requesting it. If you guys got it, pull it up so we can show it. And in the interim, is that it?
Yeah. So I'll read this.
Just what are we looking at, just so we know?
Yeah. So this says the bullet, or at least part of it, sequentially perforated the interior left of Mr. Kirk's neck, strap muscles of the left side of the neck. This is a summary, by the way. Left common cartoid on the left internal external jugular veins. The bullet also obliterated the left side.
Come on, Andrew. You got to know how to read, bro. That says carotid. It literally says carotid. C-A-carot, R-O-T-id. I-D. Carotid. Carotid. Carotid.
C27 vertebrae, transacted the cervical spinal cord. Medical examiner observed a significant portion of Kirk's cervical spinal cord was traumatically absent. Mr. Kirk suffered from other severe injuries, including bilateral, apical, and posterior intercausal hemorrhages, pulmonary, apical hemorrhages, multiple disruptions to the thyroid, et cetera, et cetera. So the summary of the examination is that he was shot.
Okay.
That was what they were pulling that up for.
Okay. And I'm not disputing that he could have been hit with a projectile. We're not disputing that. So I don't know why this was brought up as a fact check. Could you bring up 1102 Utah rule? Because this is an unbelievable point that you're making by saying that I am not allowed to infer off of evidence.
You can infer. I'm trying to follow the.
O.W. Teddy says he don't care about the case. He only grifting off of Charles' memory. He didn't even know the counts he was charged with. Couldn't name one, and that's his friend. Get the fuck out of here. Well, I mean, OWTV, I don't disagree with you. I think that everybody is grifting off of the name of Charlie Kirk. If you really want me to be honest, everybody is. You know why I say that? I could say that, and I could substantiate my argument of why I could say that everyone's grifting, because it's all content farming. Mainstream media, content farmers. Journalists, content farmers. Content creators, content farmers. Influencers, content farmers. When Charlie Kirk was assassinated, everybody went live. Everybody said something about it. Everybody made $1. Everybody gained subscribers. Some people gained sympathy subscribers. And it wasn't just with Charlie Kirk. A lot of people made money off of Trump's name. It's funny how all the people who say it's wrong for President Trump to make money as the president while they are having a live stream, and they're making money off of President Trump's name just because he's on a thumbnail or because he's saying his name. Appreciate you. What's going on, Vince? What's happening with you, my G's? Been a minute. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Jody says, what's good, y'all? What's happening? It made everybody money. Exactly right. So, OW Teddy, to say that he is a grifter, that would be incorrect. Everyone is grifting, right? Let's continue. And I appreciate you being in the chat. Thank you very much. Let's continue.
But your entire reason, like you asserted that you believe there's overwhelming evidence on the basis of what we saw in the preliminary hearing. The entire preliminary hearing was hearsay.
Yeah, I'm fine with your inferences.
No, you just literally said I couldn't do that. Yes, I can.
No, I didn't. I'm just saying from your inference, how do we get to Patsy?
This is how you got to Shooter. The Tyler Robinson did it
the
same way that you got to Tyler Robinson.
No, and she's not wrong, right? Because if you're going to say that you're going to allow hearsay or you're going to believe hearsay, then hearsay is what we're going to be working with, right? But also in that same inference, when it comes down to it, we have yet to get to the Patsy position. That is the position that she's holding, is that Tyler Robinson was a patsy for the government. So did we get there yet? No, we didn't. She still haven't substantiated that. And I think Andrew, in more ways than one, I think Andrew should really just y'all heard me say this plenty of times before. Even when someone's wrong, I let them speak and get their full thought out, right? Even when someone's wrong, I let them get their full thought out, unless they're just irritating me and I'm probably being on some dumb shit and I'm cutting them off or whatever, right? But in a debate, I let people get their full thought off wrong, even if I believe they're wrong. Let's continue.
Yes, you did. You again, this is something important, so we should pull up a fact check about what the 1102 Utah, and under their constitution, for the sake of a preliminary hearing, they do not have to have hard evidence. They don't have to put people on the trial.
They don't have to.
But no.
Yes, and it says it right there. Rule 1102, reliable hearsay in criminal preliminary examinations. A statement of the rule, reliable hearsay is admissible at criminal preliminary examinations. B, definition of reliable hearsay. For purposes of criminal preliminary examinations only, reliable hearsay includes hearsay evidence admissible at trial under the Utah Rules of Evidence. Hearsay evidence admissible at trial, Rule 804 of the Utah Rules of Evidence, regardless of the availability of the declarant at the preliminary examination. Evidence establishing the foundation for or the authenticity of any exhibit. Scientific, laboratory, or forensic reports and records. Medical and autopsy records and records, a statement of a non-testifying peace officer to a testifying peace officer, a statement made by a child victim or of physical abuse or a sexual offense, which is recorded in accordance with Rule 15.5 of the Utah Rules of Criminal Procedure. A statement of a declarant that is written, recorded, or transcribed verbatim, which is under oath or affirmation, or pursuant to a notification to the declarant that a false statement made therein is punishable, and other hearsay evidence with similarly indicia or reliability, regardless of admissibility at a trial under Rule 803 and 804 of the Utah Rules of Evidence.
That's why the entire hearing was basically hearsay. Officer Bagley
was not all of it, like I said.
The overwhelming majority.
Again, no dispute.
Outside of the one that you don't want to give. Please don't cut me off.
Though.
Outside of that is what's in dispute. It means that your entire brand of saying you don't have evidence falls apart when the entire preliminary hearing is based off of hearsay. In fact, Lance's testimony before they had about an hour debate, actually maybe it was more than an hour debate before he sat, and they said this is not going to be allowed. You wouldn't even be allowed to do this. We'd be able to cross-examine him. The questions that they're asking Lance are all leading. And what did he say? Well, I'm the magistrate under Utah Constitution, 1102. It is my job to allow all of this so we can see if the state has enough here that we can then move to a trial, which will then, they would not allow this stuff. They would say we get to cross-examine Lance. Lance just can't willy-nilly say,
I'm not disputing.
But the entire substance of your argument is that people can't infer off of evidence. That's what you're saying to me. When you say Candace,
Here,
you
I'll
can't
give
talk
you the
about the degraded
argument
prince, which is a
now.
fact.
Yeah, I'm not
and then
saying
infer
that.
off of that
Didn't say that.
Tyler could have been a patsy.
You're just
telling
literally
you,
making stuff up. So
I'm
here's
not
what the
making stuff
position
up.
is.
I'm
I'm
not making
asking
stuff
this.
up.
By the way,
I'm
I have
saying
Rule 1102
that
right
I
here if you
thank
want
you.
to
Let's
read it.
pull that up. Let's
Pull
pull
up
that up.
Rule
I'm doing
1102.
exactly what the state did.
Okay.
I'm looking at a piece of evidence and I am saying,
But you're not showing me how you get there.
Can you
from the
describe to the
inference.
audience what Rule
yes.
1102
So
means?
this, just so everybody who's watching this at home understands what I'm saying, even if he doesn't. What Andrew is arguing is that I don't have the right to extrapolate from
Never
a
made that
fact
argument.
like
Just making it up.
That's literally not the argument that he's making. But let's continue.
Purely making it up. I'm asking based on
Andrew.
based on
can I
your
show my evidence? You just showed yours. Reliable hearsay.
You'll get a chance.
Reliable hearsay in criminal preliminary examinations. The entire preliminary hearing that you just saw was on the basis of reliable hearsay. And what that means essentially is the people who are making the statements can just say, Patrick told me that he did this on Monday. Patrick's not here. And that is, they can allow that into the hearing. That's
Gina Faye says Candace wouldn't debate unless she could make ad revenue. Well, she already made 300,000. Why not make ad revenue? I'm just saying, if you're going to do something, you might as well be paid for it, right? Do y'all agree? If you're going to do anything, don't do it for free, especially if you know how to do it well. If you're going to grift in a well fashion. So I'm not knocking her for that. Let's continue.
because it's just meant to be probative. And so it's the state saying, here's what we have inferred. So you are allowed to take a piece of evidence and then you are allowed to infer off of that evidence. Okay. Case in point, that's a demonstration that's a demonstration of what I just did. I said the prints were the most degraded off of Tyler Robinson. And from that, what I am inferring is that it's plausible that Tyler Robinson was set up.
That doesn't, that's the point in contention.
That's not a point in contention. That's
the point in contention.
It's not a point in contention. If you're saying it's a point,
it is the point in contention.
It's not the point in contention. I'm telling you that was what the entire hearing allowed for. So the
PBD needs to be telling Andrew to shut the hell up.
Evidence that he is describing,
we're asking you
that he is using to argue his case is all based on inference, not fact.
Great.
Inference, not fact. So what they are inferring off of the facts.
So again, we're going to take this and I'm just going to even grant it because it's irrelevant. I'm asking how you get to the inference that even if you dispute that piece of evidence, that means patsy. I'm looking for the logical chain for how you get to that inference.
Andrew, it doesn't have to be logical. It can be hearsay. Go read the KGRD. I literally just read this the other night. When it comes down to it, there's things that you can and you cannot infer. And going by what the KGRD says, when you're using plausible deniability or when you're making an inference off of hearsay, you can do that. So Candace is actually she's actually making her argument. She's actually proving her point that since we're going to go by 1102, I can say whatever. I hate to say it, so far right now, Candace just gained a point. Let's continue.
What I am telling you is it's the exact same way that when you tweeted, I think that this evidence is overwhelming. When they say that looks like Tyler Robinson's car, he drives a similar car, okay? They are inferring that that's Tyler Robinson.
Can you walk me through the inference? So that I understand.
It's not a fact. It's not a fact. When you show a blurry image, which you kept citing that we have images.
I'm talking about your inference that the fingerprints, even if they're degraded, equals patsy. How do you get that inference?
I didn't say it equals patsy. I think it is enough evidence that it should be explored, which is exactly what this preliminary was in the inverse.
That's not in dispute. What's in dispute is when you said, I'm using this as evidence that he could have been a patsy. I'm asking, how do you get the inference to patsy from that?
Because what I am saying is that it shows that somebody else had more DNA presence on that gun than Tyler Robinson did. So it is plausible, which is all they're doing. They're presenting plausibility based off of the facts. Okay. It is plausible that somebody just took his gun and put it there.
Well, she's not wrong, right? So yes, that can be inferred based on 1102. I give you an example, right? How many of y'all watching? It's got 15 people watching, right? This is my PlayStation 5 controller that I use to play my video game. There's 5 sets of fingerprints on here, but I'm the one who plays the game the most, Now, let me ask y'all a question. Would my fingerprints be very, very easy to make sense of, or would my fingerprints be smeared on this PlayStation 5 controller? But if my wife or my daughter or my son grabs this controller, would you be able to tell whose fingerprints it is? Well, of course, you're going to see mine's all over this controller because I'm doing this. But my fingerprints are going to be smudgy. And the most prominent part that you're going to find my fingerprints is going to be right here, and right here, right? Because these are hard plastic. And since I use these buttons a lot with my fingertips, my fingerprints would be there. But here's the problem. There is smudges because I'm doing different combinations of buttons. There's no point of trying to using the thumbsticks because why? I smear the thumbsticks. You can use the L2 and R2 buttons, but guess what? You're probably going to get smeared buttons, right? Right. So hey, what's going on, Coolie Cat? The best I can be says if you touch the controller more, you have overlapping fingerprints that can be seen as much versus somebody who touches it very rarely. It's going to be more prominent. Fact, but they're going to be smeared as well. But with Candace's argument, that does not prove that I'm the one who bashed someone in the head with this controller, because why? My wife's fingerprints may be on this. My son's fingerprints may be on this. My daughter's fingerprints may be on this. So if you run a test on this controller and you find 4 different sets of prints, does that prove I'm the one who bashed this person upside the head? Okay, this is right. Let's continue.
That's it.
Is there equally
that's how it works.
And is there equally 100 other plausible explanations?
I think that's the reason why most people are exploring when things don't make sense.
Got it.
So yes, at the beginning of that, this is how the court process works.
So
just so we're clear,
if there's 100 other plausible explanations,
then
Candace, why is it that we should go with this idea that it was a patsy?
I'm not saying that we should go with the idea that it was a patsy. I am saying that there is.
I thought that.
So, but wait, stop. Point for Andrew. Why would you say it's a government patsy if you're basing this particular argument solely on the rifle? If there's only 5 sets of prints on a rifle or 4 sets of prints on a rifle, Matthew, Tyler, I guess his grandfather, and Lance, one of those 4 people touched that rifle. Neither one of those 4 people are with the United States government. So how's this a government patsy? Point.
That was the whole defense, your whole claim.
No,
today.
my whole claim was that there is more evidence that he is set up as a patsy.
How does that equal evidence of patsy?
I don't know how many times I can say this. Like I'm saying that I am using the exact same mechanism that you are accepting for some reason in the Utah courtroom.
Yeah.
Right. To say, I'm going to look at the evidence and I'm going to infer an alternative theory. So you just saw the states and you're accepting it. And they have not presented any concrete facts. You listed on your own Twitter that what you found to be convincing was something that looked like his car pulled into the driveway, a blurry image.
No, I didn't.
The standard white guy coming up the steps that could literally be anyone.
This never happened.
Can we get a fact check on that? Can we pull up his tweet where he goes over
I didn't
the
say that's what convinced me.
When you actually didn't say it's what convinced me, but you said this is the evidence that you found to be overwhelming, and you named, I believe, actually 5 things. I think you said it was his car. You said it was.
Well, there's multitudes of things that I find.
You just said you didn't say
evidence.
it, so we're going to get a fact check on that. You did.
Go ahead.
You said the blurry images coming up the steps. Quite literally, when Officer Bagley testified, they talk about when I'm talking about making inference. This is the most I thought was the most absurd testimony I've ever heard. And pardon me, it was actually David Hull. They asked him a question. How did you know the guy in the maroon shirt was the same as the guy that came up the stairs later that was wearing the American flag black shirt? And he said, they're wearing the same shoes.
Why is that absurd?
That's how you decided these 2 are the same people. Oh, wow. What a scientific. They're both wearing Converses. Okay. That's an absurd thing to say. That is not evidence that these are the same people if we're both wearing Converses. That was what he said. That's what flew on the stand.
But I still don't understand how that would be absurd. If somebody,
it's an absurd thing.
For instance, if somebody were to change their clothes but keep the same shoes on, wouldn't you utilize the shoes to try to track that person? If
the idea that on a college campus, 2 people wearing this totally different outfits, but both wearing Converses can't happen is such an absurdity that I don't even need to like argue that. I'm just going to let people deal. Why is it absurd?
That's a mute argument. So Candace, if we had a 20% blurry picture of you and you're wearing a black outfit, but you got on white shoes, and then we have another 20% blurry outfit of you wearing a white outfit and you have white shoes on, and in this picture we can see earlier in the day that it's you, and we can also see later in the day that it's you, and we can easily identify you by the shoes. Why would we not use the shoes as an identifying factor to be able to be like, yeah, your shoes could possibly be an identifying factor? Gina says, what? Right. Like if Gina committed a crime wearing black Air Force Ones, and the person who we believe on this tape to be Gina, who's wearing a gray hoodie, and then we see Gina again, who we believe to be Gina, wearing black Air Force Ones, and we track her through a route of cameras, and now she's wearing a white hoodie. Well, we believe that that's Gina. Okay, so cool. We're going to ask the question, do we have more definitive evidence that this is Gina? Cool. We have a second camera angle that literally puts Gina's face in the gray hoodie. And we also have a secondary camera angle that also puts Gina's face in a white hoodie. So I'm going to ask y'all in the chat, if you seen Gina in a white hoodie and you seen Gina in a gray hoodie, but she has black Air Force Ones in both pictures, is that Gina? Simple.
Just concede that point. Obviously, it's an absurd thing to say.
I'm not
I know
sure,
these are the same people because they're both wearing Converse.
Yeah, I'm not sure if in context that's what happened, but
it
even
is.
if it
you
is,
can get a fact check on it.
But even if it is, again,
and it was
if
Hull.
we're utilizing inferences, whenever we're dealing with logic and we're dealing with making a logical inference, we're going to take the entire collaboration of evidence and then we're going to make inferences from that. You would do that with any type of logical proposition. Otherwise, you could never have a true or false claim.
You just told me I couldn't.
So when that never happened. You're just making stuff up. So anyway, when we're talking about logical inferences, what I'm looking for is the logical inferences that you have that Tyler Robinson's a patsy based on the totality of evidence that you have.
We can keep going through your other evidence, but we should find his tweet where he lists the reasons that he was convinced.
So let's start with the 30-06. I think that's fine.
Your team's looking for. Do you remember how long ago that was?
The tweet of the 5. Did you delete it or no?
No,
Did
I
you
don't
delete
delete
tweets?
tweets.
Okay, cool. I just look for. He said it
Unless I
was his
misspell.
car. It was his. It was the car, and it was definitely the staircase photos, and it was when the trial was going on.
Okay, she has it. Perfect. If you got Skylar has it. If you want to pull it up so we can see it.
So he says here, the car pulling in, Robinson getting out of it, the fact he is seen 4 other times on camera, the DNA on the roof, and on the screwdriver he left behind, it's overwhelming, man. What?
Somebody said, so give me the clear evidence right here. I want you to provide it right here. All I heard from the investigator was, we believe this to be Tyler Robinson. Is belief something you go as a fact? You wrote the car pulling in. That's a totally blurry image. Robinson getting out of it. You have no idea if that's Tyler Robinson. The fact that he is seen 4 other times on camera, the fact being just a standard white boy with brown hair was seen walking up staircase. The DNA on the roof, we should discuss that. And on the screwdriver that he left behind, it's overwhelming, man.
Yeah, but that's not an exhaustive list.
Well, just so we're clear, you did tweet it.
But it's not an exhaustive.
Yeah,
well,
but just 5 seconds ago, you should concede.
You said I only said this one thing and said that was overwhelming, actually.
That's not what I said.
It is. You could even
Patrick,
pull your own
did I
clip.
say that?
Can you fact check if that was said or not? I did not hear her say.
So the
this.
thing is funny here is like we still aren't getting to any of these inferences. So
Andrew's losing a little bit of ground here. Andrew's irritated. All right, so let me tell you why Andrew's irritated. Andrew is trying to move the he's trying to bring the conversation back to a point. And this is what we call moving the goalposts. And I should have called it out earlier, but I've been letting it go on because I really want to get the content out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Candace has moved the goalposts 4 times so far. And Andrew's trying to hold it to that one point.
Why are you pivoting?
So
just say you were wrong. It's cool to just say I was wrong.
I'm not wrong. So back to the tweet aspect here. It was really funny. That's not an exhaustive list of why I find it.
I didn't say it was exhaustive. I just said you said it.
And on top of it, well, no, you didn't. You said that I only said this one thing, and then said, based on that, it's over. Well, I didn't. You didn't mention that I mentioned the screwdriver, DNA, all of these other things. You never mentioned any of that.
So now we're pontificating specifically what it is that she possibly said.
So no, you're actually incorrect there. But on top of that, moving over to the actual evidence itself.
Are you
Yes, I'm okay. Anyway, back to the evidence
if you're
itself.
okay.
Yes,
actually,
I'm
I'm glad you're asserting that you're
But
okay. I wasn't worried about your health. I'm just
but
saying
back
that
to
I just
this.
said you tweeted this. You said no, I didn't. We got a fact check, and now you're like just going to gaslight me and pretend that I
There's
said
no gaslighting.
it wasn't exhaustive. I never said that. I just said you did say this.
Zero gaslighting.
I didn't say you couldn't have said more,
Yeah.
but I would like to address what you
this
said
is
in
your
that tweet.
time. If this is how you want to spend it interrogating my position, you can do it that way.
I'm just addressing what you asserted on your Twitter was like the hard evidence that convinced you it was overwhelming. That's literally your
That's
debate
not what
claim.
you said. That's not actually, in fact, what happened in that exchange. I was here for it.
So what's your position here?
Yeah, so my position is that based on all of the evidence, which has been demonstrated, at least all the evidence to my knowledge, that I am actually not seeing anything that's compelling as an alternative theory. I'm not seeing anything which is convincing me of something otherwise than what the state is presenting as evidence. That's my position, if
Okay.
that's what you're asking me.
So just going back to what you did actually tweet, is it fair for me to ask questions about that?
Candace is being an asshole. Oh my God.
That's
Is that the only tweet you're going to ask me about?
Well, we're addressing your claim that the evidence is overwhelming, and this is a tweet where you listed what you felt was overwhelming. I think that's fair.
But not
right?
Now, to hell with you, Patrick Bet David. Now, she wants to hold Andrew to the standard, but when Andrew is trying to hold her to a standard, you, Patrick Bet David, Patrick Bet David, don't do that. She wants to now keep him in a position to where he has to answer about the tweets. Great. I have no problem with it. Sail Andrew up the fucking river. I have no problem with it. But if you're going to have that position, Patrick Bet David, you also should have kept that position you should have had that position when Andrew tried to hold her to a goalpost and you let it go.
I feel like that's fair.
But not exhaustive, just so you know.
I never said it was exhaustive,
Go
even though
ahead.
you said I did.
Sure, whatever you want.
But yeah, so going back to that, all of that, as you say to me, well, Candace, why are you addressing and making inferences off of the testimony?
No, I never asked you why. You're making inferences. I asked you how, with the inference you made, you got to the conclusion.
Okay, so I would like to know how you got to the conclusion. And I'm just going to throw it right back at you because for some reason you permit yourself to do it. And that's what I'm demonstrating is that you permit yourself to do it. And then you say, when I do it, it's a conspiracy, right?
No.
How are you able to infer off of blurry staircase images that is Tyler Robinson?
Yeah. So in that particular case, what you do is you take that evidence, you combine it with other evidence. So it's not just that Tyler Robinson is seen in the staircase.
Why are you calling him Tyler Robinson in the staircase? That's what I want to get to.
Yeah, because we'll just use this. If you don't agree that that's Tyler Robinson, then you would just have to humor me. I think it is, so I'm using the name.
But why do you think it is? Because you make everybody, you call them
literally
conspiracy
what I'm trying
theorists.
to explain to you.
Okay.
So if you're asking for my inference, why I think it's Tyler Robinson is because
this is not a debate anymore. It's not. This is you did it to me, so I'm going to do to you. I've lost interest. And I hate to say this. I've lost interest, right? But the truth of the matter is this. It's not a debate anymore. This is how many gotcha moments can we create? Yeah, it has begun to get childish. Yeah.
Tyler Robinson said in his text messages, you'll be able to see me on security footage at the campus. Said it in his own messages. On top of that, Twigs, yes, you can pull them up if you want to fact check that. He did say.
Yeah, I would. I'm sorry. I actually think I really did miss that. I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't remember him saying you're going to see me in.
I'm paraphrasing, but it was
pull that
close
up?
to it.
Yeah, I don't.
He did say that, by the way. He said you're going to see me on TV. It's me, something like that.
Yeah,
I think
And
that's
by the
not
way,
right.
Twigs himself said that he
You're
had
gonna see me on the staircase?
he had some maybe a tiny bit of doubt, but it sure looked like Tyler Robinson inside of this various surveillance footage that he saw.
So Lance, sorry.
Hang on.
You're right.
So there's multiple reasons why it is that I believe that that's Tyler Robinson, not just because of blurry footage.
Did you have a dream? Just kidding.
No, it's because I combined multitudes of evidences.
Okay, so let's address those multitude of evidences. The first one we're working on a fact check on, because I do not ever remember him tweeting. That's me in the stair. I mean, or
he didn't tweet it.
Texting that's me in the staircase. I think that I didn't
say that. I said I literally didn't. What I said is that he texted over, "You'll be able to see me in footage at UVU," and I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said.
Yeah, could we get a fact check on that? The second thing you said was Lance's testimony, and actually what Lance says is, I'm not 100%.
I agree.
But in terms of what he wears, again, pointing out the absurdity, he wears Converses. He wears sneakers. If his boyfriend is not 100%, I'd like to understand why Andrew Wilson is overwhelmed by it. That's what I'm trying to get to. And lastly, I would like to remind you that Lance's statement would not be permitted. This was a huge part of the preliminary hearing, that they were leading. All the questions that were asked of him were leading, so they would be struck down at the actual trial. And also, I would like to remind you that he got use immunity for that. Use immunity.
I understand.
Which means
that happens, by the way, all the time in these cases.
And I'm wondering why it particularly happened for Lance and this testimony. And I would also like to point out that something that's remarkable about this, again, leaning to my perspective, that Lance has a lot more, which I have said many times, Lance has a lot more involvement than the feds are letting us know. I think more is going to come out because they interviewed him on September 11th. And then for whatever reason, just ahead of what was supposed to be slated as the preliminary hearing, which was initially supposed to be in May, they bring him back to do this interview, which in my opinion should have never been allowed. And I actually agree with the defense that it's a violation of his constitutional rights not to allow them to have cross-examined him. But I understand Utah 1102, do what you do. It's all hearsay. But to allow it in that way, for him to just be able to also have use immunity, knowing that he's not going to get in trouble. He could literally get up there and lie about anything, and he's not going to get in trouble because the use immunity was given to him in April, I believe. April 28th is when they gave that testimony to the defense.
That's a fact.
I think they shot it in like April 20th of 2026. That is not compelling to me for somebody who has use immunity to give a testimony and to say, I'm not really sure, but definitely like he wears jeans and stuff.
That's not what he said.
He did. Actually, you can get a fact check on that.
Yeah, that's
Skyler,
not,
I think
he said
pull
much
it up
more
if you
than
want
that.
So a couple things we have. We have Rule 801, Tyler's messages, that says it's not hearsay. But first, go to what Candace is asking about. Skyler, I think you have it. You just text me if you want to pull it up. You said you have the text. If we can put that up on the screen. Thank you.
It was me. Look at the pictures from the surveillance footage. It was me. Okay. I literally said to you, it's not an oof. I said I didn't remember this, and I'm happy to have a fact check on that. Okay. I didn't call for the fact check saying you're wrong. I literally said I don't remember that from the time.
I'm just saying to you, I'm trying to be concise for you.
And then also bring the 801 that you just said. What was the other one?
Yep. The 801, Tyler messages saying it's not hearsay, if you have that as well. There you go.
Wait, what are we saying is not hearsay?
Statements that are not hearsay. A statement that meets the following conditions is not hearsay.
It was hearsay. They said it in the trial.
Hang on.
Okay.
Is consistent with the declarant's testimony and the declarant denies having made the statement or has forgotten, or is consistent with the declarant's testimony and is offered to rebut the express implied charge that the declarant recently fabricated or acted in recent improper influence or motive in testifying. So then, wouldn't that mean that a bunch of this wasn't hearsay?
So the issue with his,
I just want to make sure.
Yeah,
would that mean that a bunch of this wasn't hearsay?
So the opposing party, which down the line, like I said, they talked about this for about an hour and a half, and they discussed how if Lance was in court and he was giving his first party, giving his testimony as the opposing party, whatever, all this would be fine. They had an issue with how the questions were being asked and that they were not allowed to cross-examine him. So that is why his video testimony would not be accepted in the main trial. And what I said to you is this entire preliminary hearing is under Utah's 1102. So they are allowed to just use hearsay. And
no,
so the
you didn't
judge,
say that. You said most of it was hearsay, actually.
Yeah,
the overwhelming majority.
Well, I mean, and that's I'm leaning now into my opinion that some scientific aspects, which they kept asserting, like the federal rule 403 or 402, some of those parts were quite
Sounds
scientific.
like you're backtracking quite a bit.
No, I'm not backtracking at all. What do you feel like let me help you. Where do you feel like I'm backtracking? It literally was done under Utah's 1102.
Yeah, nobody disputed that.
Okay.
What the dispute was is whether or not most of it was overwhelmingly hearsay.
Yes,
is that the case?
it was. Yes, that's a fact. I'm not backtracking on that
and
at
what
all.
are the things?
How many times did you, I mean, if you watch the video here, it's like they constantly, I'm 1102, 1102, 1102, 1102, 1102. And the reason for that is because it's allowed. I'm not saying it's illegal. It's allowed at this stage, but I'm just reminding you that when you're going to sit across from someone and your claim is going to be, where is your hard evidence? This is what I heard and I agree with what I'm watching. You are watching the state put on a hearsay preliminary hearing, and all of those things are not going to be allowed, right? Even when they got into witness statements and things of that nature. There's a reason why they swear you in and they say, you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth. Did you, write this statement? So it's the overwhelming majority of what you saw was hearsay because other people were representing other people's statements. They were saying they had conversations. We don't know where it came from, all allowed at this stage. Okay. But it's hearsay. So
but even a lot of that stuff may not fall under hearsay under what we just read, right? But
the evidence that you're speaking about, like when you say that we're going off vibes, you don't know Tyler Robinson, okay?
No, that's not how that works, Candace, respectfully. You can't pick and choose what is and isn't hearsay if you're going to say it's all hearsay. If you're going to accept, and this is why I said, Candace created a dangerous precedent earlier in this debate when she said that it should be granted that things that we accept that are said as fact should be received as a fact. You then cannot. I need people to be better conversationalists, especially when it comes to debating. You can't say everything should be accepted as a fact because it's presented as a fact, and then turn around and say, well, it's all hearsay. It's either hearsay or it's a fact. Either everything is hearsay or everything is a fact. You can't pick and choose what you believe to be a fact just because it supports your argument and then turn around and say that it's hearsay when it doesn't support your argument.
His boyfriend is not 100% it was him. So I'm going back to your points that you made that this was overwhelming evidence for you. That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, overwhelming just means
you can't consider another option that.
Appreciate you for the 10 Jewels 3-Man podcast. He says hiding. Appreciate you, big homie. Thank you for supporting the show.
There could have been another white guy wearing Converses on campus.
Yeah. Do you agree with me that I said that what overwhelming means to me is that it's just very convincing to me?
Yeah. And I find it to be completely unconvincing.
And that's fair. I understand that.
I looked at those blurry photos that they presented and said, your statement on.
You're attacking his position and his argument. Substantiate your point.
Right now is that he's wearing Converses and he also that's just crazy.
But these aren't the evidences that I find the most convincing.
Well, you said that in your Twitter.
That's not the only thing I've ever said on my Twitter about this case.
Right, but the question that was asked of you was pretty direct.
Yeah.
Right. What did you find?
This is not an exhaustive list of all the things that I find
that's not what you said
convincing.
In the tweet. You can tweet longer too. It's not like we're limited now to 240 characters anymore.
So anything that I tweet and all other tweets that I've ever made are now excluded because I used the word overwhelming in this one.
Well,
even though all of this information I've said so publicly over and over and over again is what informs my position for why I'm convinced on the case. That's bizarre to me.
I feel like this is Andrew versus Andrew. Somebody asked you a question. What are the points that you find to be the most overwhelming? And you answered.
You mean from that particular day of the hearing that I was responding to?
I'm gonna be honest with y'all. This is very underwhelming. And when I say underwhelming, I thought this was going to be a debate. This is a shit show of argument. And as much as I believe that these two have done in the past, where they have substantiated their arguments and forebodings, where they have done so in a way that people can easily understand the logic that they're putting behind their arguments and the substantiate the facts that they're including along with data, science, and logic. This is a shit show. Right, and I'm trying to be fair, but this is a shit show. This really is a shit show. And I've seen clips where I have both agreed and disagreed with both Candace and Andrew. it's not just boring, it's actually irritating, right? It's irritating because if this was something me and my wife was hosting, I feel like I'm listening to my son and my daughter argue right now. It's really irritating, right? And I'm gonna be honest with you. This is why I call it a cash grab for everybody, right? This was a cash cow, right? This was a cash cow of a damn show. This is what this was. There was, even if Andrew genuinely wanted to debate CANDACE Owens, I don't think she should have been paid up front. I think she should have been paid after the debate. And even more so, I also believe that nobody should have made $1 off of this, other than what you generate from your own YouTube channel, right? And even then, the proceeds went to the children of Charlie Kirk. If you really want to convince me that this is a good thing that y'all are doing for the sake of doing it, y'all should have just, right, this is ass. This is terrible in more ways than one. I've been more entertained by watching a YouTube panel where people are bickering and arguing, where there's a bounty system and all this, that, and the other. This is boring. And although even at times I like boring things, I like boring movies, I like boring books. I'm not gonna say I'm a boring person, but there's a lot of things that a lot of people can typically find boring that I enjoy. There's a lot of things that I find boring that I enjoy. This is just dumb. And I wonder how much money was generated off of this, right? We know that this was a lot of money being generated for everybody, for people who was restreaming it, people who was part of it. Everybody got paid good money for this boring shit. She could have been at home and he could have been in his studio and they could have done this on a StreamYard panel. This is a waste of my fucking time. And this is a waste of y'all's time. And I refuse to be a part of it. That's just fucking stupid.
Ooh. Lights out. City still. While they dream soft, I'm already in motion. Clock hit late. House quiet, mind still sharp. They under the